Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, My Crypto Teacher. My name is Ida and I'm your crypto teacher. Today I'm going to give you an overview of a lot of the current cryptocurrency events, information, news you can use. First, I'm going to be talking about why are certain crypto companies moving and leaving the United States? I'm going to also talk about a country that is opening up its arms and embracing and welcoming crypto companies there, which is a change from what they've recently done. I'm also going to talk about Polygon Matic. It is on fire. I'm going to go a little bit into Bitcoin and talk about the number of Bitcoin addresses that hold the majority of the Bitcoin and just let you all take a look at that information. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the Federal Reserve System and explaining to you about what the relationship of the Federal Reserve System and the central banks are, because they're really the same thing, and a lot of people don't know that. And so just let's go ahead and get started. I'm also going to give you an overview of the current market. All right, first let's talk about NEXO. NEXO has had it with the United States. NEXO has been working with the SEC for more than 18 months. And what you're going to see is a lot of companies are saying now that the SEC is just unreasonable and unwilling to work with these cryptocurrency companies. And so I anticipate that we're going to see a lot of different crypto companies move out of the United States. That is going to impact your crypto investments. Remember, I am not an investment advisor or a financial advisor. I'm simply sharing with you crypto information that I use that guides me with my decisions about this new asset class. All right, so after 18 months, NEXO has decided that there's no winning with the SEC, and they have decided to no longer do business in the United States. Their customers in Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Wisconsin, California, and Washington can no longer access the earned interest products as of, this was back in December. So you all know, so NEXO, that's another cryptocurrency company that's not doing business in the United States, and that's an issue. That is why we need some type of crypto regulation in spite of all the losses, the scams, everything that has went on. The United States Congress, the government has got to create some kind of a regulatory framework so that that retail investors, or that's people like you and I, we're just everyday retail investors, and so that institutional investors can trust this asset class. All right, also Kraken, if you're keeping up with the news, then you already know that Kraken has been fined. They paid a $30 million fine to the SEC for their staking product. So they are no longer doing their staking product. And late last year, they closed their office in San Francisco, and a lot of people didn't know they closed their office not necessarily because of the lack of crypto regulation, but they said that San Francisco is just dangerous. And I've heard that San Francisco is rampant with crime. And basically they said, we shut down Kraken's global headquarters on Market Street in San Francisco after numerous employees were attacked, harassed, and robbed on their way to and from the office. And basically that's crazy that you cannot even go to work and safe. So crime is out of control in San Francisco, and they are no longer going to put their employees at risk. So they basically said they have no plans to change our status as a U.S.-based entity. The location of the headquarters doesn't affect how we will run our business. So Kraken, even after paying the $30 million fine, they're not going to leave the U.S., but they're leaving San Francisco for sure because they want to be safe. That's crazy. They just hadn't seen anything like it in their lives. So there we go there. Now, let's move on. What do you all think about Kraken and the $30 million fine? Add some comments down below. I want to know, what do you all think about NEXO leaving the United States? Okay, what do you think? What's your opinion? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, this is important, and I want to set the tone for this. The current population of the world, and this is a clock, and I'm going to put this clock in the description so you can click on it. If you're an investor, and I am not an investment advisor, you've got to understand the importance of crypto as it relates to our current financial conditions and the people that hold the power over the financial structure of the world. So I want to start with the current population of the world. The population of the entire world, that's everybody. United States is about 360 million. China has about 1.5 billion people there. And then I just mentioned those two because those are the two superpowers in terms of money, okay? So the current world population is 8 billion, a little bit over 8 billion. You can see the clock right here, that you can see the births. It shows the births today, the deaths today, the growth. And so that's some interesting information. So there's 8 billion people right now in the world. So hold that thought, okay? Now, 8 billion people in the world today. Now, what I do want to take a look at is I want to take a look at Bitcoin, because we see that Bitcoin is an emerging asset that could potentially be the store of value, replacing the old clunky gold that was the store of value. Now, should everyone own some Bitcoin? Yeah, possibly. Should the majority of my assets and my investable money be in Bitcoin? I'm not willing to go that far. And let me tell you why. I just told you there are 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion. Now let's take a look at this Bitcoin rich list. Okay? Bitcoin rich list, and you all can see this list down here. You can see the number of addresses. So these are every address holds a certain amount of Bitcoin. Now, one person, because I've had Bitcoin in multiple addresses, so you can have one person that owns Bitcoin in several addresses, okay? But for the most part, for small investors, they have one Bitcoin address, maybe two. All right, so let's take a look here, because this is important when we talk about Bitcoin replacing the store of value or becoming a store of value. So right down here, you can see down here. So addresses richer than, I'm just going to start $1. You have like 36,756,432 addresses that own between $1 and $99 of Bitcoin. And then you can take a look here. How many addresses own between $100 and $1,000? You have, and actually $999. So 15,324,451 people own between $100 and $999 of Bitcoin. And then as you go to between 1,000 and $9,999, you've got 6,477,000 people. So you all can see it. You can read this chart yourself. But here's the key. This is where I'm just really concerned about the amount of Bitcoin. You know that there will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. So when you get to the number of addresses that own between 100,000 and 999,000, it's only 295,000 people. And then when you get the number of addresses that own between 1 million and 900 and they own at least $1 million in Bitcoin, but less than 10 billion. That's only 69,000 addresses. So just think about that. You've got over 8 billion people in the world, but you've only got 69,000 people, which is a tiny, 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 tiny amount of people that own between 1 million and less than $10 billion in Bitcoin. And then the number of addresses that own between $10 million or more of Bitcoin is only 5,089 addresses. So you can do the numbers. You've got 5,089 addresses that own $10 billion of Bitcoin or more. That is a tiny, 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 tiny portion of addresses. So I'm just saying that I think that Bitcoin could be a store of value, but you only have 5,000 people in the entire world out of 8 billion people that own 10 billion or more of Bitcoin. I'm just saying that that is a tiny fraction of wealth. That's a tiny amount of people that own a tremendous amount of wealth. So you all can see this Bitcoin, the rich list, and you can see who owns the majority. And you can look here, look at the addresses and the percentages. Look down here, you can just start, you can do the numbers yourself. Look at, you got 7%, 16, 23, 24, 19, 7. Those people own only between up to 1 Bitcoin, and that's a majority of the number of people. And then the rest of the people who own Bitcoin, you're talking about what, 3% of the addresses own 95% of the Bitcoin. So that's something to think about when you think about putting the majority of your investable money into Bitcoin. All right, so I'm going to get off that. I just wanted you all to see that with the world population, you can see it's over 8 billion people, and you've only got about 10,000 people in the entire world holding the wealth, the 95% of the wealth. That's just a lot. Okay, so I'm just keep that in mind. All right, so now let's move on to something different. Let's take a look. Bitcoin has been up, and that's a good thing. The total market cap of the crypto market is $1.1 trillion. So the market is up. Bitcoin accounts for about 41% of the entire value of the crypto market. So you all can see that Bitcoin is the big Papa Bear in the Bitcoin market, but you can also see some other cryptos that are doing well. Polygon Matic has moved up to slot number 8 in market cap. So Polygon Matic is in the 8th position in terms of market cap and value. And let me tell you why. Since we're on that, let's move on to why Polygon Matic is up. Polygon Matic, basically, they are coming out with their, in the end of March, they're going to launch their zero knowledge ZK EVM product. And so basically Polygon Labs announced it on March 27th. It will launch a 0K knowledge Ethereum virtual machine beta main network. The upgrade is intended to enhance the Ethereum ecosystem experience for users and developers by adding efficiency and reducing costs. Polygon Matic, I own a lot of it. I've got several videos I've made on Polygon Matic. I said I think it's a stable, it's a crypto staple that you must have in your crypto portfolio. Not investment advice, but I've been an owner of Polygon Matic for a long time. I love it, and I'm glad that I do own a lot of it. So they're on a tear. Don't FOMO. Look at my video on FOMOing. You will always have a second, third, or fourth chance a lot of times to purchase a product. Do not FOMO into these cryptos. Don't just jump in at the high because you'll be disappointed, okay? So there we go about Polygon Matic. All right, now Hong Kong. Hong Kong, here's some good news. Hong Kong is welcoming cryptocurrency with an open arm. And just to give you just a brief summary, they are already a financial hub of the world, and they're now looking to be a crypto hub. And this is a good thing because as closer they are to China, you may have a lot of the people who are in China decide to do some transactions and explore crypto in Hong Kong. So that may be a good thing. Hong Kong is just looking at, they're doing some research and deciding how to move forward with it with their Securities and Futures Commission. They're also looking at maybe just allowing people to invest in large cap tokens. So think about large cap. So when you talk about large cap, you're going to be looking at the large cap, probably the top 10 or 20, maybe like Bitcoin, ETH, BNB, Cardano, Polygon, Binance, Dogecoin, Solana, Polkadot. So They're talking about large caps, so think about what the large caps are, okay? So that's what Hong Kong is looking to embrace. All right, now, I did not give you all this information on Polkadot. This is another win, and I'm glad that this is going on. So Polkadot, they have been working with the SEC on basically proving that DOT, which is a symbol for Polkadot, is not a security. And this is important because we know that crypto regulation is coming. The SEC has been working, they're working against XRP. They have a court case going on trying to prove that they are a security. Polkadot has done a tremendous job of working with the SEC. And basically what they're saying is that they are not a security. They are proving to the SEC that they are a software. We know that crypto is a software. It's a technology. So Polkadot has done it. They're doing a tremendous job of proving to the SEC that they are not a security. Polkadot is saying we are a software and a software company. That's a good thing, because if Polkadot wins this argument with the SEC, it's going to provide a framework that other layer 1 blockchains, possibly Cardano, Ethereum, other blockchains can use this same argument that they are too not a security as this regulation rolls out in the United States. So this is very good, and Polkadot has just done a really good job. So basically they said that the Web3 Foundation has reminded the world in its eyes it has conformed to the SEC requirements, and DOT should no longer be considered a security. And then they've been working with the SEC and laying out their case on why they are not a security. And I'm going to put this in the this article in the description. What do you all think? Tell me this. Do you think DOT is a security? Do you think Cardano is a security? Do you think the government is going to try to take advantage and call it a security? What do you all think? All right, so there's some information there. All right, now, so we talked about Bitcoin and all the different things in terms of who the holders are of the addresses, and that's just a really good thing. All right, now let's talk about, I want to get a little bit into central banks, okay? So with first of all, you all need to know, you hear a lot about the Federal Reserve System and central banks. First of all, the Federal Reserve System is the central bank. The Federal Reserve System is the central bank. So the central bank is a financial institution given privileged control over the production and distribution of money and credit for a nation or a group of nations. Now look at that. A central bank is given privileged control, privilege over the production. When you produce something, central banks make money out of thin air. This is important. I want to bring you all back to crypto and why crypto is so important and why Bitcoin could possibly be an additional store of value. So central banks create money out of the thin air. That is what they do. So the more money you have in circulation, the less that your money is valued. So the more dollars that are printed by the central bank, the less the money that you have is valued. For example, $100 today buys a lot less than what $100 bought 2 years ago, a year ago, even 3 years ago. So it's so important for you to understand the role of the central bank and why you need to understand a little bit about monetary policy as you make your investment decisions. Okay, so there's a central bank. So now you know the Federal Reserve System is the central bank. Now, I do want to tell you, what does the central bank do? The central bank is supposed to be an independent national authority, but it's made up of 7 members. 7 privileged members are making all the calls on the majority of money in the world, okay? They conduct monetary policy. They regulate banks. They provide financial services like economic research, They're supposed to stabilize the nation's currency. They're supposed to keep unemployment low and prevent inflation. That's why you see a lot about the central bank, which is the Federal Reserve System, and the interest rates with Jerome Powell. Most of the are governed by a board made up of member banks. There are 12 central banks in the United States, but there's only 7 boards. There's only 7 members on the board, and each of those members, get this, they are appointed for 14 years. Once they are appointed and confirmed by the United States Senate, they are a federal board governor for 14 years. They got 14 years of job security. So that's just important. You all really need to know that and understand that about the central bank. Okay, now let's talk about the central bank and the dollar being the dominant world reserve currency. Okay, so first of all, what is a foreign exchange reserve? The foreign exchange reserves are assets denominated in a foreign currency that are held by a nation's central bank. I already told you what central banks are. Central banks is a privileged group of people who get to determine the monetary policy for a country, okay? Now, so you've got the world's reserve currency. I want you all to see this because this is extremely important, extremely. The global currency reserves, and you can see as of 2021, the United States dollar accounts for almost 59% of the foreign exchange reserves. So out of all the countries, there are what? How many countries are there in the world? About 195. There's about 195 countries in the world. Out of all of these 195 countries, the US dollar accounts for 60% of the foreign exchange reserves of all 195 countries. That's a lot of power. You need to understand how powerful the United States dollar is so you can understand when you're investing in cryptocurrencies, you can see where we're going with this. So I just wanted you all to know this. Look at this. The United States accounts for about 59%. The euro only accounts for about 21%. The Japanese yen is about 6%. The pound is about 5%. The Chinese renminbi is only about 3% of the foreign exchange reserves. That's it, 3%. But let me tell you something important about China. Even though they only account for about 3% of the world's reserve currency, look at what they hold. They are the top holder of foreign reserves of all the countries. So China holds about $3 trillion, about $3.5 trillion of foreign money from other countries. That makes them very powerful because China has bought up a tremendous amount of debt from other countries. China owns about 3.5 trillion. Japan owns about 1.4 trillion. Switzerland owns about $1 trillion. Look at the United States. The United States at the very bottom only owns about $249 billion of debt from other countries. So just think about that. The United States only owns about $249 billion of debt from other countries. However, the United States dollar accounts for about 59% of the reserves of other countries. The United States, they are powerful and they are slick. They're not buying debt from other countries, but countries have been backed into a corner to use the United States dollar as their reserve currency. That is powerful. So just think about that. So just think about that in terms of Bitcoin. And that's why I'm saying I don't think the United States dollar is going anywhere. It's not going to be replaced by anything anytime soon. But I do think that crypto is here to stay. Put your comments in there. What do you think about the United States having almost 60%, accounting for 60% of the world's reserve currency? What do you think about that? What do you think about the United States only having $249 billion of debt from other countries? What do you think about China being the #1 holder of debt in all the countries? All of this plays into part with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. It all is connected. So you need to understand this. All right, I know that's a lot of information that I've given you all, and I hope that you all understand the relationship of central banks, and you're beginning to understand with the United States has over $30 trillion in debt. Understanding why that is damaging to the currency and the US dollar, and how that can make the entire world financial system unstable. That's what it's about. That's what this Bitcoin thing is about. That's what crypto is about. All right, so my name is Ida. I hope I've given you information that you can use. I hope you understand central banks and understand that the Federal Reserve System is the central bank system. I hope that you all have found value in this video. Please click on subscribe if you have. Click on like. And my name is Ida. I'm your crypto teacher. I'll see you next time.